Hey, oh, I don't have my mic. Hi, everybody. Oh, shoot. I gotta put my mic on before starting because I was running late. Let me just put this on. There we go. Okay, that'll do. You're gonna see might see my wire today during live stream. Hey, all y'all. Welcome back to live stream. Welcome ever. Oh, I don't know how many people are gonna show up today. I was late last night in getting my usual Instagram and everything announcement up. But I mean, I live stream now every Sunday. That's better. Okay, I live stream now every Sunday. Well, we'll see if I live stream next Sunday, but more on that later. So just waiting for a couple more people to show up, see if anyone else does, or maybe this will just be a one-on-one live stream with you and me, Ever. I have a question, Ever, because I know you don't live in the United States. Do you mind sharing where you live? Because I don't think I actually know. In fact, I know I don't know, or I wouldn't be asking the question. Hello, Janet. Welcome. Welcome, welcome. Glad you can make it. Sorry I'm late. I have good reason for being late, though, this morning. The reason, or afternoon, depending on where you are right now. Okay, good. I want to make sure my YouTube chat box is working. So the reason I am late this morning / afternoon, depending on where you live in the world, could it be Monday somewhere? I don't think so. Anyway, the reason I'm late is because if you read my blog post this week, where I explained that I am putting a temporary pin in the blog post, just woke up. Wow, Janet, well, that's fine. That's a good morning. That's a good Sunday morning to just be waking up. Yes. So yes, if you read my blog post this morning, if you read my blog post this week, I am putting a pin in blogging for the moment. I want to start blogging more consistently, starting in November, hopefully. So just in 2 or 3 weeks. Japan is Monday, I think. Yeah, I know. They're on the other side of the date line. I just can't remember what time the flip happens. But, so yeah, the reason I was late this morning and the reason that I am not blogging at present are the same, which is that I am volunteering with the Joe Biden campaign, Victory 2020, as a texter and now a moderator for texters, which just means I kind of help answer texters' questions as we're doing various outreach campaigns to voters, trying to get out the vote and everything. So that, I got a lot on my plate, which is kind of par for the course for me. I like to have a full plate, and something had to fall by the wayside, and the blog is what has fallen by the wayside. It's the crumb of my plate that is now on the floor. I will pick it up. I will make something new. I'm going to try to ride that metaphor as long as I can. And it is why I'm a little late this morning getting started on the live stream, because we had a very busy day today. We have a very busy day today with texting, and so I was trying to help out as much as I could before I had to get ready for the live stream. Ever. Nice. I approve. It's not my country, but I approve. Thank you. Thank you, Ever. And you know, the thing is, it's like I've always gone back and forth in terms of discussing world events and elections and politics at all on this channel, because we live in interesting times and people need a break from it and a chance to step back from it. But at the same time, I've never wanted to hesitate either to talk about important things at the same time. So thank you, Ever. Thank you for the hat. I'll get into that in a second. So yeah, I never wanted to hesitate at the same time to be like, this is what's going on, or I think this is something important to discuss, because crafting and knitting definitely is an escape for people from all the mishigas that goes on in the world, and we all need that break and that breather, but at the same time, we don't exist in a bubble. The world continues on, and it does in fact can affect our scooching over a little bit so I'm not always kind of struggling with the text box a little bit to make sure people can read it. Anyway, but yeah, crafting exists in the real world. The real world things can affect our crafting lives, and so I try to keep it to a minimum. But if there's something worth discussing, I don't want to shy away from it either. So, you know, yeah. So I have been volunteering with the Biden campaign as a texter, and now I will do my PSA to, if you are voting in the United States, make sure that you have your plan to vote, and you can visit vote.org to figure out everything you need to know about voting this year. My other PSA is please be kind to texters. Believe it or not, I know all the political campaign texting gets annoying, and all you have to do to opt out of a list is text stop. But the thing is, there's different organizations that run get out the vote efforts and campaigns, and all the different organizations use the same public databases to generate their lists. So you could be on a whole bunch of different lists, and it seems like you're hearing from the same people over and over again, but it's different groups. And done. Yay, Janet. Yay. So those generally are real people on the other end of the text and not just a bot, and it never hurts to just assume that there's a real live person on the other end of the text, and, you know, treat them the way you would as if somebody were coming up to your doorstep, because it's real people, and whether you agree with them or not, they're doing something out of a place of conviction, and I think that should always be respected. So if you don't want the text, you're not interested, just text stop, and there's no reason to use profanity or troll or be rude. And I don't think anybody who's going to watch my channel will be that person, but be kind to your texter. That's all I got to say. I know, trust me, I know. It can be annoying, but personally, I would rather get a text from a campaign than a phone call, if you want to know the truth. What is troll? Janet, what is troll? So trolling is a internet phenomenon where basically people get online and are obnoxious and rude on purpose and just to get a response. It's a form of online bullying, truth be told. And there are people who get their jollies off of trolling people on the internet. You know, so it's annoying, it's unnecessary, but yeah, it's a form of online bullying, basically. So, like I said, I don't think anybody who would be watching my channel would fall into that category. I don't think I'm their people. So, anyway, moving on with the conversation. My hat, real quick. I did want to just mention this briefly. I love this hat. This is one of the first things I ever made without a pattern. Janet, why is it not called being a jerk? Well, I guess it's a particular way of being a jerk, because it's like the kid in class who would just, oh shoot. Okay, I'm gonna be right back because I forgot to turn off my alerts on my phone. I don't want that popping up all day. So, I'm going to be right back. You're going to just see a quick thing come up on my screen while I fix that. It's just going to say starting soon. But don't worry, I'm going to be right back because I got to fix that before we continue. And I'm back. Hopefully you can hear me. Yeah. Oh, sorry about that. I have alerts coming up on my phone right now that I can't have go public, so I had to like turn off my phone into airplane mode. So, oh, Ever. I did not know that. Ever says that trolling comes from trolling in the sense of fishing. Trolls throw out bait to try and disrupt conversations. Ever, thank you. I myself have never understood where that came from, and I'm really glad to know. There we go. I'm really glad to know that. I always thought maybe it had to do with just like, trolls under a bridge being really annoying. So, yeah. Okay, so my hat. This is one of the first things I ever knitted on my own, and I love this hat. And I love hats in general, especially my slouchy hats. I'm a big fan of Tams. I'm a big fan of slouchy hats. I like a little bulk, almost a halo effect around the hat, around my head, because I'm so angelic. Anyway, sorry. So, yes. And I was thinking about this morning as I was deciding what hat to put on, and it occurred to me, people keep talking about sweater weather, right? Like, oh, I can't wait for sweater weather. Fall is here, sweater weather. I live in Los Angeles. We don't really have sweater weather. We have occasional days where sweaters may be appropriate, but you could easily live in Los Angeles and not really wear sweaters. You don't need a lot of sweaters in your closet in Los Angeles, but hats, wool hats, definitely. And so I realized that my version of sweater weather is hats and wool hats, and I'm ready for sweater weather. I'm ready for my hat weather. We are not in it. Our temperatures were in the 90s, so I'm wishfully wearing this hat today. But the way I constructed this hat was actually, I'm not going to take it off because my hair looks terrible underneath. Maybe I can show you the top of it with my overhead. Let me see. Let me see if I can. I'm trying to see if I can position my overhead so that, probably not. Okay, but if you could see the top of the hat, it's actually crocheted. So what I do sometimes with this hat, because I make this is one of those patterns I will do over and over again because I have it in my head. But what I'll do is I will just do a center out crocheted circle, and then I will pick up stitches along the edge of it and then just knit the brim down, and I do welts because I just like that look a lot. So that is a way that you can knit a hat without necessarily doing a gauge, because you can do the crochet circle medallion to the size that you want. I usually do maybe a ½ inch less than my actual head circumference, and then knit the brim down. And it's kind of a fun way to combine crochet and knit into a project. And the reason I like to sometimes use crochet on the top is crochet is kind of a stiffer material than what knits creates, and sometimes I want like a stiffer crown to my hat. So, hi Samantha, welcome. If it is under 70 degrees, I can't leave home without a beanie or a hat for some kind. I am with you, Samantha. I love my hats, and I am wishful hatting right now because it's in the 90s, and I really have no business wearing a hat, but I am. In fact, this could help transition us to the big topic, possibly, of the week. We'll see what you have to say. This hat is made of acrylic. This hat is made of the first... Is this the first ball of yarn I ever bought? If it's not the first ball of yarn I ever bought, it's one of the first balls of yarn I ever bought. And this is an acrylic hat. So, yes, I make things, and I do wear acrylic. Not always, but it happens, especially my younger knitting days when funds were lower, and we gotta do what we gotta do. Ever. I love Tams. I think is because the Tim has a Tam was the first sentence I learned to print in school. That's so cute. Janet, I lived by the ocean in SoCal for years and have never been so cold. Temps changed 50 degrees throughout a day, And that is from Who Lives in Wisconsin. Yes, yes. By the ocean in Los Angeles in Southern California, the temperature change can be dramatic from day to night. There's various reasons for that. I live more inland. I live in the valley. I'm a valley girl, you know, and I'm a valley girl. And so it tends to just get hot. But it also, even in the valley, especially in the winter times, it can get quite chilly at night. Because what happens in Los Angeles and a lot of Southern California, it's technically a Mediterranean climate, if I remember correctly. And during the day, the sun is coming down, everything's warming up. But at night, there isn't a lot of cloud coverage to keep in the heat. So all the heat just dissipates. And so it gets really warm at night, or it can get really cold at night, surprisingly cold at night. That's why really in California, it's all about layers. Like that's why I have such a large collection of scarves and cardigans and everything, is because really you need layers. Janet, do you know Nick Cage? Not personally. I know of him, but I do not know Nick Cage. So yeah, this week's video was my epic review on acrylic yarn. Well, at least 4 of them. There's a lot more. Valley Girl. Janet. Oh, yeah, so Valley Girl. I live in the San Fernando Valley area of Los Angeles, and in the 80s, there was a whole trend called the Valley Girls, and there's a movie with Nick Cage. Oh, that's why you asked about Nick Cage. Got it. I'm on it now. I'm riding your wave. Sorry. A little slow on the uptake there. Yes. No. Never met Nick Cage. But yes. Sorry, Janet. I'm with you now. I'm with you. We're like this now. But this week, yes, this week was the epic acrylic yarn review, where at least, I mean, I didn't cover every acrylic yarn ever. I could do more of those type of reviews, but I did review 4 different brands of acrylic yarn. Any of you here today watch the video? I'd love to hear your thoughts about it. I know in the video I did my acrylic yarn disclaimer / miniature rant about yarn snobbery, but also something, not just yarn snobbery. Because frankly, if you're a yarn snob and just feel like, nope, acrylic yarn isn't good enough for me, that's a perfectly valid sort of opinion to have. Not even opinion, that's a valid opinion to have. We all have our preferences in terms of what we like to work with, what we don't like to work with, and those preferences are valid. But more so than yarn snobbery is what I now think of more as yarn shaming. And I feel like that is where things just get problematic, to the point where if I really hesitated almost doing a review on acrylic yarn because I didn't know how people would react to it. Thankfully, the reaction I think has been overwhelmingly positive, and I'm so glad, so glad about that. But I was nervous because, like, you go online, and not just online. I saw this when I was going to the West Hollywood Stitch and Bitch back in the day. Where people were just look very askance at acrylic yarn, but not just look askance at it, but saying the things like, life is too short for cheap yarn. And it does. It makes people who are then knitting with acrylic yarn feel insecure, especially if you're a newer knitter and you don't know as much about fiber yet, and you have an experienced knitter expressing this disdain for the materials that you're working with. It's like, it turns into, whether people intend it to be or not, it turns into a type of gatekeeping, and it's something I just think, like, is unnecessary. Like, let people enjoy their projects. It's one thing to say, oh, that's a nice acrylic yarn. Have you tried knitting with this fiber yet? And just throw out that bait to see, do they know about whatever natural fiber they think they may be interested in? That's having a conversation with somebody, and that's showing interest in their journey. But to just immediately make a judgment on acrylic yarn, I think can be very, I think it's gatekeeping, and I think it's yarn shaming, and I think it's unnecessary. Yes. Janet, yes, I have used Karen Simply Soft for little kids, but it does split. Yeah, I mean, that's the knock on it. And the thing is, I ranked it number 2 but I did that because I was kind of stepping back from my own preferences for a second. And honestly, Lion Basic Stitch and Karen Simply Soft were competing for each other for the number 2 and number 3 spot. And I bumped Karen up to number 2 because some of it might be I'm just more familiar with it, but I think it's a better price point for what it is, and that even though I had a problem getting consistent wraps per inch with the yarn, I find the yarn predictable. So, Sam, I enjoyed it, and I have used all the yarns except Lion Brand Basic Stitch. I agree with you, your rankings based on my experiences. Oh, good. Yay. Whitney, seen the video. Good review. Liked the rankings. Thank you. There. That's the type of attitude that was present at the local craft store in my small town. They offer it, but never recommend it. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think that's, and that's something, too. Don't get me wrong. I think it's really important to support your local yarn store because there's things at a local yarn store that just can't be substituted with YouTube and blogs and online purchasing. There's nothing like being able to sit down with somebody in person and get a lesson on knitting or pick their brain or get a yarn recommendation. At the same time, especially when you're a new knitter, a local yarn store can feel intimidating because you feel like maybe you don't know what you're doing. I don't know, maybe that's just me and my own social anxiety coming across. But I think that sometimes going into a local yarn store, even to this day, and I consider myself fairly knowledgeable, I always feel a little bit timid because I'm just like, what's this place going to be like? What's their attitude going to be like? Because you don't know. Because I've gone to some local yarn stores that were incredibly welcoming and made you feel so great and so at home and were there to help you find what it is that you needed. And then I've been to some local yarn stores that were incredibly unfriendly. Incredibly unfriendly. And if you're a new knitter and you get into the local yarn store that's unfriendly and is sitting there going, okay, I have this, but is this really what you want? That is off-putting. And it's not just off-putting for that yarn store, bad, bad mojo for that yarn store. It gives a bad impression to the craft in general, because I don't think knitting actually, truth be told, I think most average knitters who aren't all steeped in the fiber universe community culture probably doesn't run into all of this as much as I probably see, but it's still a part of it and out there. So, that's awful. I prefer wool to acrylic, but if people want to knit with dental floss or shredded plastic bags, more power to them. Yes. I mean, don't get me wrong. My preference is natural fibers generally. I really enjoy knitting with cotton. Wool is obviously a delight. I mean, if you watched my attempt to spin wool, you know that I love the smell of wool. And yes, I'm a fiber lover. But I do think acrylic yarn has its place in knitting. I like it most for when I'm knitting stuffies, toys, baby blankets, or cocoons, wraps, things of that nature. Any kind of thing where either it's not being worn like a sweater or it's just ease of care is really important. I think acrylic is definitely something to look towards. And with that in mind, I think that it's helpful when you're trying to make decisions of what to purchase to go, oh, there's no reason to buy Red Heart Super Saver when there is the Big Twist from Joann's. Because honestly, I was shocked how much I liked the Joann's Big Twist. By the way, funny story. Bear. I like to be able to actually feel the yarn for myself. I need to know what it feels like if I haven't tried the yarn before. If I know what a yarn is like, I can more confidently order it online. I totally agree with you on that, Bear, 100%. My preference is almost always to go to whether it's a big box store or a local yarn store. I like to be able to touch the yarn and feel the yarn and all of that. Sometimes as a matter of convenience, it's just not an option because just I have a busy life, and sometimes the best I can do is order online the yarn, and that is kind of what it is. But yes, I mean, my first preference is always to order or buy in person if I can. Plus, it's just fun. It's fun to walk into the store, right? Even to Joann's. On one of my Facebook groups, not by me, by actually very near to where I used to live, a new Joann's store opened up, and oh my God, it's gorgeous. Like, it's huge, and it's light, and it's airy, and you walk in, and on the back wall is a huge display of yarn organized in like rainbow color. No, mind you, it's all acrylic yarn. It was either the Red Super Saver, probably the Big Twist, because that's the store brand, but whatever. And it was like somebody posted a photo of this on a Facebook group, and people lost their minds. Like, where's that Joann's? I want to go there. And it was just the visuals of it. But there is something amazing about walking into a yarn store and just seeing a huge, gorgeous explosion of color. Like, does it get any better than that? Does it? I don't think so. And the thing is, like, with the big box stores, Michael's, Joann's, I don't know about Hobby Lobby. I've never walked into a Hobby Lobby. But so often their knitting section is, like, tucked away in a corner that you can barely see. And it's like, I want to see the yarn. Where's the yarn? I need the yarn. Ever. I actually have seen crochet with plastic bags. It was pretty cool. Yes, there was golly, I think about 15 years ago, there was a whole trend of plarn, which was taking plastic bags and cutting it up into ribbons to knit and crochet with plastic yarn. And there are people who do a lot of really cool things with plarn. After the live stream, I'll put a link in the description box if I can find one, but there are charity projects that people will do where they knit or crochet mats out of plarn for the homeless people to sleep on, so they have a more comfortable place to sleep on sidewalks and such. So there's a whole craftivism thing with plarn and the homeless. The Crafty Curator. Hi, Crafty Curator. Welcome. I saw that you just recently subscribed to my channel. Thank you. I hope you find a warm and welcoming home here in my little corner of the interwebs. I just want to share, I just started watching you yesterday, and I adore your channel. Thank you. So much quality content and opinions that I share. Your views on English style and yarn shaming are spot on. Yes! We found you. We are a what's a good, I don't want to say clan. We are a clan, a crafting clan. We found our crafting clan. But yes, I'm so glad you're here. Welcome. We are a small but hopefully growing community, but never so big that everyone doesn't feel like we don't know your name. I have no idea if what I just said made any sense whatsoever. But yeah. So yeah, I definitely, And speaking of charity projects, acrylic yarn is really good if you want to do charity projects. If you talk with hospitals or homeless shelters or anything like that, oftentimes the request is that the hats or blankets or mats or whatever you may be knitting for a charity, they ask oftentimes that it's made out of acrylic because of the ease of care, and it holds up. I mean, acrylic yarn is very hard wearing because, I mean, it's basically spun plastic. So Jillian Eve, who I don't think is here today, but that's cool, she had a really good tweet about acrylic yarn on Twitter. And she listed all these reasons why people might choose acrylic yarn. And she has actually done videos where she has shown hand spinning acrylic yarn. So if that's something you're interested in, check out her channel. So, so yeah, acrylic yarn. I think it definitely has its place in knitting, and we should love and embrace it. So if anybody has anything else to say about acrylic yarn or yarn shaming or anything like that, please share your thoughts. We can keep that conversation going. But I did want to throw out a couple of things before we do a pattern spotlight, because I do have a pattern spotlight planned for the live stream that I'm kind of excited about. So first thing I went to the dollar store yesterday talking about economics. There's 2 yarn stores near me. The one closest to me is okay. The one that's a little farther away is fantastic. It has such a great section, a teacher section, and which is great when you have a toddler like I do, because like, and I can't put her in preschool because we're in a pandemic. Anyway, I'm always going there to get little things for her and stuff. But I found something for myself that I have to show you guys because it blows my mind that I found this for $1. I found this book. Let me hold it over here. Ball of String. It's a pattern book. Pattern books aren't usually my thing, but this was at the dollar store, and it has knit and crochet home good project, and I was like, how can I pass this up for $1? $1. Bear, how lucky. I really was. And in truth, there were 2 more books that I'm thinking I might need to go back and see if I can snag, because there were 2 sewing books as well. And I don't sew as much, but I love sewing bags, and there was a book there for bags. So I wanted to show off this, like, it's just, and that's the thing about, I don't want the, sorry, my lamp, I got it, my overhead lamp. But, okay, that's too much. There we go. All right, so this is the book. Here we go. And, I mean, it's just like, how cool is I mean, I flipped through the book and I was a little shocked that it is at the dollar store. I mean, I'm guessing they picked it up as some kind of remainder, but this is by Jemima Schlee. I hope I pronounced her name correctly. 16 beautiful projects for your home. Like I said, it has, oh my God, I'm sorry, I haven't even looked that closely at this book, but how cute is this photo? It is yarn and thread in a bowl, and it's like put together so it almost looks like spaghetti sauce, like spaghetti and spaghetti sauce. It's so cool. I haven't looked that closely at the book yet. I was literally like, I have to show everybody my find. But yeah, it has crochet and knit projects. Like, here's a gadget bag, a lampshade project. Like, this is like a pattern book where I'm like, I feel inspired, and like, this is something I would totally make, because I love small projects. I am more of a small projects person. Coasters, I mean, how adorable are these set of coasters? Like, this would be a great hostess gift, or if you're traveling, you know, someday when we can travel again because the world isn't on fire. This would be great for airplanes. You knit this up, you visit your family or friend, and you leave this gift for them. That would be awesome. That's what I do with my dishcloths, by the way. This is a crochet project. It's a lot of crochet, but there are knit projects. Oh my God, desk trays. I'm so excited about this book. The coin purse is adorable. I know, right, Claudia? Welcome, Claudia. I didn't get a chance to say hi to you before, but yes, the coin purse is adorable. There's a couple of, look at this purse, this little coin purse that's like a little doctor's bag. Like, you can make this for yourself or a favorite child in your life. First aid purse. Oh my, it's just, I think there's a lot of fun ideas in here. I'm very excited about this book. It's been a while since I ran across a pattern book where I really got excited by what I was seeing. Bath mat. It probably helps that I only got it for $1. I mean, wash mitts. I mean, come on. This I'm ready to make today. I bet I could finish this today if I really had the time. I don't have the time. I don't have the time. But yes, I love this. I'm super excited about it. So always check out the crafting section of your dollar store, because you never know what you're going to find there. I have found sachet yarn. Anybody remember Red Heart's sachet that came out a few years ago? That like was all the rage, that it was like a netting that you could knit into corkscrews. That I found on at the dollar store at one point. That's when I knew it must be like no longer selling and that trend had died, because it was at the dollar store. And dollar store is a great place to get office supplies that are also notions, and I think that is a video idea I'm going to try to do eventually, where I go back to the dollar store and I just pick up things that could be notions for your notions bag for like $1 each. I'm so excited. I get ridiculously, I feel like the dollar store is like a treasure hunt, and you just never know. It's like one of those remember the eggs that you used to get out of the, if you're old enough to remember, put in the coin and you get the egg out, and you just never knew what was going to be that egg. Dollar store is like a Cracker Jack box. It's like a Cracker Jack box. You never know what prize is inside. There, like the handy dandy paperclip. Yes, you know I love my paper clips. That video originally was going to be me doing a whole bunch of office supplies as notions, and for various reasons it turned into the paperclip video, which that video is one of my favorite videos of all time. Like, it really is. It's one of my favorite videos of all time. Also, real quick, forever, and also anyone interested in Tunisian crochet, I've been meaning to show this off. This is a larger Tunisian crochet project that I've done. Got a little roving stuck on it. And I wanted to show it off because we do have some Tunisian crochet designers on the Fiber Indie list. They're in the crochet section, Crochet Indie, and I wanted you guys to see kind of how much is possible with Tunisian crochet. So I wanted to show this off a little bit. So let's go back to the overhead. And this is all Tunisian crochet. This is a scarf basically kind of project, but it's a sampler piece. So you see all these stitches that are done with Tunisian crochet. And you can see there's these airy, lacy sections of it. So Tunisian crochet is sometimes kind of known as being a stiffer, denser fabric, and if you do just the basic Tunisian crochet stitch, that is true. But thrift store too. Yes, Janet, the thrift store is a great place to find knitting stuff. So yeah, but you can just create, and this I'll tell you right now, and I'm not sponsored or affiliated in any way, but this is from a Craftsy class that I took. And Craftsy is back, by the way. I will hold my judgment on the quality of the new relaunched website because it's still new, but Craftsy is back, and this was from a Craftsy class. If you're interested, I will put a link down in the description box after the live stream to what the class was. but the designer, she has a couple of craftsy classes. In fact, the broomstick lace project that's right back here was another craftsy class with the same instructor. Very creative designer. But yeah, so there's a lot of cool things that are possible with Tunisian crochet. And it's not, like I said, the basic Tunisian crochet stitch is very dense and stiffer fabric, but once you start learning some of the other stitches and all the possibilities of it, there's a lot of neat things you can do with it, and it's really fun, and it does grow quickly. That is one thing with crochet in general, is that it tends to be a little bit faster, those projects to do, than knitting sometimes is. Ooh, yeah. That project in particular is very, very pretty. I can't remember her name. I'll have to find the link for it. But the designer who did that project, she does a lot of neat things with color and Tunisian crochet. Because there's things you can do with Tunisian crochet, since each row is 2 passes of yarn. Because in Tunisian crochet, you first pull up loops of yarn that hang out on your Tunisian crochet hook, and then you come back and pull stitches kind of through it to almost tie off those stitches. And she does a lot where you use one color for the first pass and then use a second color for the second pass, and there's a lot of neat things that happen with that. Janet, maybe a knit along for table mats in Tunisian. Oh, that wouldn't be a bad idea. I admit, I'm very much a novice when it comes to Tunisian crochet, but that could be fun, where we just all did like a Tunisian crochet project together and learned together. I don't have to always be an expert. It's fun not to be. It's fun learning new things. People ask all the time, how do you get your mojo back? I get my mojo back by learning a new technique. That's what always gets me excited. So, alrighty. I'm having such a good time in this live stream. I hope you all are as well. All right, so let's see if we can do pattern spotlight. So this week, not a lot. There's one new pattern release. There's some big news from the Fiverr happenings, but there weren't a lot of new pattern releases that I found. So this week, for the pattern spotlight, I'm going to focus on showing off some of the newer designers that are on the Fiverr indie list. Excuse me. Excuse me. Little gunky there. Yeah, I wanted to show off some of the newer designers that are now on the Fiverr indie list. If you don't know already, the Fiverr indie list came about because one night I was drinking wine, and I had the whole Ravelry accessibility problem had been exploding, and designers were setting up new sales channels that could be accessible for people who could no longer be on Ravelry or were choosing not to use Ravelry. And when I was drinking wine, I was thinking, God, how are we all going to connect with these designers and find them? There's no central place. And I was like, well, why don't you put together a list? I literally thought that. I was like, I'll just tweet it out. I'll just make a tweet like, hey guys, I'm thinking that maybe I'll put together a list. If you have an Etsy store or PayHip or whatever, just drop me your links here. That's how it all started. So the Fiverr indie list is a list of designers who offer accessible sales platforms for their work. And it's something I'm very proud of. And it is growing. Each week now, I'm getting about 1 or 2 new submissions. In the Fiverr indie list, there is knitting indie, there is crochet indie, and then there is yarny indie. Yarny indie is newer. It's for spinners and dyers. And I thought today for pattern, not even pattern spotlight, it's more like just Fiverr indie spotlight. We'll take a look at some of the new additions to the Fiverr indie list, just to kind of give them a shout out and to let people know that yes, the list is still there, it is still growing, and I need to find a way to highlight better when new people arrive. I always I update everything. I update the Fiber Indie List and Fiber Happenings on Fridays, most Mondays. Sometimes I'm late. Sometimes it doesn't happen for various reasons. But definitely on Fridays it gets updated, and on Twitter and on my Instagram, I always announce what's going on with those spaces and who's been added. So if you are not already following me on Instagram or Twitter, definitely want to check that out. All my social media is down in the description box. Okay, so we are once again going desktop share on this, which means anything could happen. But here we are. So make sure that this is up for you guys. And we will start looking at, and again, just let me know, admin help, sorry. And just let me know if like you stop hearing me or anything. I will keep an eye on the chat. By the way, as we do this, there is an update on, real quick, there is an update with Ravelry, which is they are clearly indicating that they are no longer dealing with their accessibility problems because their latest blog post, their latest new thing for New Rav, you can now share your Spotify list on Ravelry. That's their latest big announcement. That's really fantastic for people who can't use the website. So there you go. Like, what the hell? What the hell is that? If you want to know all my thoughts, I have videos. At some point, I probably should just do a roundup. But let's focus on Fiber Happenings first. And we have a new pattern release from Yarn Addict by Anakin Alice, the Frogner Stole. And I gotta say, I might have to turn off chat box. We'll see. This is such a cool project. If you are a more beginner knitter or you've never done a bias knit project, a project knitted on the bias, this is a project you might want to look at. This is a shawl and it's color work, right? And it's lacy. It is a lacy project. You can see the holes here around the color changes. Let's see if there's something that gets us, a picture that gets us even closer. Can I zoom in on the photo? But you can see it is a lacy project. So this stole is very light and airy. And Anakin says that you can, if you want, turn it into an infinity scarf by sewing up the ends, and you can see her modeling it this way, that way here. But what I think is so cool about this is that it is worked on the bias, and that is what is creating the diagonal stripes in this shawl or stole if you prefer. So, and I love her color choice here. I mean, obviously you can use any color choice that you would prefer, but I just think this is really pretty project. I think if you're new to lace knitting, or if you're new to knitting on the bias, or if you're a beginner knitter who's kind of ready to expand your skills some, I think this project would be a really good one. I really do. So I am a fan of that project. And let's see, is this, it is, she has this pattern on sale until midnight at 10:23 UK time. You can get 30% off with the coupon Frogner30. So all of that information, of course, you can find at knitswhereit'sat.com/TFIL. That is home to Fiber Happenings and the launch page for the Fiber Indie List. So I think there's some really, really exciting things like that. Let's see. Let me know in the description box if the chat box is in the way of seeing the photos, because I can always turn it off. I like to have the chat box up for replay so that people who come and watch the video after the live stream can kind of keep track of what conversation might be going on. But if it's in the way of the photos, I can turn it off. All right, so next up, we are going to look at the Periwinkle dragon who I think she was added to the list this week. And Carolyn Lyle has some of the most unique sock projects I have ever seen. Look at this. I mean, I'm going to see if I can, yes, I can. I'm going to expand my screen a little bit so we can really see. How cool is this sock? This is a fade project, and Carolyn's work really focuses on sort of unique constructions, but according to her, it's easier than it looks, and she really tries to provide clear explanations of how to do these projects. And if you want an adventure, I mean, this sock is so cool. It's so perfect because we are still in Socktober. Let's see. I am going to have to turn off the chat box. I can just tell already. There we go. But I mean, this sock is so cool. I could just stare at this sock all day. If you're not really looking at the screen and you're listening to this more as a podcast, this sock, it's hard to explain. It's a fade project, and it starts with the heel is almost a bullseye, and then the colors move out from there. I have links to all of the people in the Pattern Spotlight down in the description box, so you can totally link to her website and look at this project and look at her other projects as well. She also does a lot of neat things with texture, and just a lot of cool things. And I love her combination of both color and movement. Like, she just creates beautiful stitch movements. Like, look at this. There's the concertina hat. I mean, I'm guessing it's short rows, but I don't know for sure. But she creates these movement of stitches along with the color that is just amazing. All the designers on the Fiber Indie list are so talented. They all blow me away. But I have to say, there's just some really unique projects from Carolyn Lyle. I could spend all day probably just looking at her webpage, but we got to move on. But definitely check out her work. She is on the Knitting Indie list, which, yeah. And of course, a link is down in the description box. I should mention some of the people on here have Etsy or Lovecraft stores, and I do use affiliate links. Those affiliate links are always clearly marked. Affiliate links just kind of help support my channel. So if you are planning to buy something anyway and you choose to use one of my affiliate links, it's a win-win for everybody. So if you want to know more about my affiliate links, you can always check out my FAQ at my website. Here we have the corner of Knit and Tea, and this is both a spinner and knitwear designer, but I wanted to point out somebody who was a spinner from the list. And there's just some beautiful hand-spun yarn here. Let's look at this one. This just caught my eye, of course, because it was blues and purples and teals and greens, and this is totally my jam in terms of a variegated color. This yarn in particular, it's merino. It's a 2-ply yarn, spun in a gradient, and runs from minty aqua through lavender and blue to indigo and violet. And it is, I mean, this is gorgeous. It is. This is gorgeous. It's just a gorgeous yarn. And if you are interested at all in hand-spun yarn, Corner of Knit and Tea is definitely somebody to check out. She is one of a few yarnies that I have on the Fiber Indie list. They have their own subpage, which is the Yarny Indie. And she has a few projects as well. Ooh, let's look at this one. Yarn Sinister Things. Oh, see if this comes up. Hand-spun yarn, Sinister Things. This is so cool. I love this kind of yarn that actually like twists together different colors. This is another merino. And this looks like, I'm just reading the description from her web store. Shades of browns, blues, golds, and burgundies make the braid dramatic. So this is a braided yarn, but there's nothing sinister about it. And she says this is really good for socks. So if you are interested in sock knitting, this could be a lovely yarn for you. Okay, next up is another designer who I'm super excited about. This is Lee Meredith, and again, just some really, really unique projects. Another designer who does a lot in terms of combining color and stitch movement and color and texture, and that just always gets me excited. But I gotta look at this hat in particular. This is called the Home hat. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. And this is a hat made from the bottom up, holding yarn, one yarn at a time, with slip stitches making the colorwork patterns. No stranded color work. You know I love my slip stitch patterns, which is probably one of the reasons I'm drawn to this hat. Slip stitch patterns, in my opinion, are just the kind of patterns that they look so impressive and are shockingly easy to do. And this is gorgeous. I just think this hat is really cool and very unique. It almost, where the gray and the orange are kind of meeting, it almost looks like brioche, but it's not. It's not brioche knitting. But I just think it's a very cool hat. She has a lot of neat projects. Love the blue and violet yarn. Yeah. Ever. They almost look like they're... I'm sorry, I'm catching up on chat a little bit. So yeah. And is that the... No, I have one more designer I wanted to show off. And this is Alder Zine. Alder Sign. I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. Another new designer, knitwear designer on the indie list. She actually has, I believe, both knit and crochet. Yes, she has original knit and crochet patterns. So you can find both. And her work has this almost, it's very unique again, but her work is, it feels like classic knitwear design, but I feel like it has an almost fairy tale quality to it. There's something that just feels ethereal to some of her work that I just love. Some of that might have to do with how it's photographed. It's beautifully photographed. But I, in particular, was drawn to these fingerless mittens. Again, it's another slip stitch pattern, but I just think that these are a really neat project, and it's the kind of slip stitch color work pattern that looks so, so impressive. But if you are a beginner or an intermediate project, this is something that would be very, very approachable. So I think this is gorgeous. I love it. I love it. I love all of it. I know, I always feel like whenever we do these pattern spotlights, I'm like, oh my God, it's all so amazing. It's so adorable. But it's genuinely how I feel. This is all genuine reaction. Let's see, is there a crochet project to show? Oh my gosh, look how cute. I'm sorry, I'm still not over the baby owl trend, or the owl trend. Look how cute this mobile is. Oh my gosh. Oh, it's so cute. I will never get over how cute this is. These are just little baby owls hung for a baby mobile to go over the crib. It's just cute and adorable. If you have a special child in your life or a special child coming into your life, this could be a fun project to do. So yeah, so Alder Zine she's another one of the new designers on the Fiber Indie list. Those mitts are awesome. I agree, Bear. I agree. Those mitts are awesome. Awesome. So we are getting near the end of our time today. So if anyone has any last minute questions or comments, I will keep an eye on the chat in order to, let me put, oh, no, that's right. Okay. I will keep an eye on the chat in case this pops up, but I do have to start wrapping up at the same time. So if you have not already, and I should have mentioned this at the beginning of the video, bad YouTube creator, please make sure that you like my video, this video, or any of the videos you watch of me. Liking videos, commenting on videos helps YouTube know that I am a channel worth checking out, worth showing other knitters and crafters to, saying, hey, she's fun, she's awesome, you'll want to watch her stuff. So, give it a look, Don't forget, like. If you have not already, I'm sure everyone watching live has subscribed and hit the notification bell. But if not, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell. Hitting the notification bell sends alerts to you whenever I upload a new video or I start a live stream or when I schedule my live streams. Last night I was very late in scheduling my live stream. And because I was busy volunteering. And I was a little tired. Yeah, it happens. This coming week's videos. So, this upcoming video, right now, I am planning to do a video on the strong heel, but I might switch that out and do it a week later. We'll see what my schedule is like. I might do something else. I had an idea and I can't think of it right now, but it just kind of depends on what my time is looking like. Sometimes tutorials take a little longer to edit together, so sometimes I have to kind of bump them a little bit for something that can be a little faster. Not really a question, but I've been checking out your English knitting videos again. Oh, cool, Ever. My hands have been hurting a lot, and I'm trying to find a method that is easier on them. Have your hands been hurting a lot trying to do the English method, or how are you knitting? That might actually, that might be the other video. And let me know which one you're more interested in. I can try to shoot the strong heel tutorial, or I do have a knitting confession to make that has to do with my own hands and wrists. And something that I have found, a tip that I have found that has helped me out. So let me know which one you're more interested in. And in fact, I will put a poll up on my Instagram story. I will try to do this. And you can always go and vote on that. But I'm kind of tempted to do the confession, truth be told, because I feel like it's something that I'm ready to talk about, that I've been kind of holding off on for all y'all. So let me know. But those are the two videos that are in play for next week. But if I don't do the strong heel this week, it will be the week after. Tip on knitting changes. Yeah, I have a feeling that one. That's where I'm leaning towards. And not just because it'd be a faster video for me to edit. Also, a programming note. I don't know yet. I haven't decided. Keep an eye out. I will let everyone know. I may or may not live stream next Sunday. That I have to check the calendar, but I think that's the last Sunday before Election Day. And if so, I have a feeling that my texting is going to be very busy and I might need to skip a live stream. I will let everyone know on my Instagram, my Twitter, what have you. I will post a notice on my YouTube page as well if I have to skip that live stream. So for right now, just assume the live stream will happen, but no, there's a possibility that I decide that I have to skip that one. I don't want to. I love doing live stream with you guys. This is something I look forward to so much throughout the week. But yeah, confessions are fun. Yeah, calling yourself out, there is something about that, isn't there? So there is that. Keep an eye out too. I am working on the fingerless glove. I just have to finish the grading and then getting everything set up for possibly doing a knit along. So my goal is to start it third week of November. It's not going to be the first week of November. That I know. The election is just taking up too much of my time. Janet, your texting is important for that day. You will be back live streaming, so do your election work first. Thank you, Janet. Thank you. Confess. Paris, yay. So, yes. No, it's going to happen. It's just a matter of me, finishing up some details and just scheduling the time. But, the texting campaign will be over, and, hopefully, I don't know. But I will make the time because I want to do it. And so yeah, that's what's on the docket coming up. And if there's nothing, I think that's it. I think that's everything. So as always, let me do something real quick. Let me get myself set up for this. By the way, I am so excited that the pattern spotlight and the desktop share is working now, and I have that figured out, because it's so much easier than doing the video screen grabs that I was doing before to make that happen. And if there's any kind of pattern spotlight you're interested in, right? Because sometimes there's not a lot of new patterns being released, and so I can always show off just some work from various designers on the Fiber Indie list. But if there's something in particular you're interested in, sweaters, hats, whatever, let me know. Let me know. I'd love to hear what it is that you want to see. Do you even like pattern spotlight? I like doing it. I like showing off the designers, but you know, maybe you're like, Carrie, it feels like a big commercial. I don't care. Let me know. It's fine. I want this to be time that you feel is well spent. I really do. So have a good week, everyone. Bye. Okay. So yes, I will put that. I think I know all y'all's answer, but if you're watching on the playback, let me know down in the comments below, confession or strong heel. And I will also put up a poll on my Instagram, and we'll see if anyone ever responds to it. And yeah, I think that's it for this week. All my social media is down in the description box. Make sure that you are subscribed and you've hit the notification bell on the channel. I think those are all my plugs. I hope that you have a great rest of your weekend. Oh, shite. That hurt. Sorry. Oh, I just stubbed my toe. You might be wondering, Carrie, how did you stub your toe sitting down? Oh, I can do it. Trust me, there's a way to stub my toe. I can do it. And I just did it. I rolled the chair into my toe. Anyway, I'm fine. Nothing's broken. Everything's fine. So thank you so much. Welcome new subscribers. As always, have a great rest of your week. And I will see you next time. As always, don't forget to vote. Don't forget to make your plan to vote. Vote.org. Happy health and happy knitting. Bye.